Hi Scorpio, what's going on? We are here with your reading, what you need to know for June. The first card out is Knight of Wands and Five of Wands. All right, what this can mean, Knight of Wands can be a really like a condensed energy that you're feeling, that you want to let out, that you want to express. You can feel really inspired. There can be like a lot of different things that you want to do, but Five of Wands can indicate that it's almost that point where like too many ideas are as good as no idea because they're just being like too much going on. So a Knight of Wands can be like, I want to do something, like I want to do that and that and that and that, but there's like so much going on that you end up sort of staying there and being like, which one do I pick? It can feel kind of overwhelming, like what is the thing that I'm supposed to be sort of moving towards? So needing to work that out, like what to prioritize, what to focus on, and sort of like picking one thing first and starting there and then seeing what happens, rather than sort of having everything out in front of you. You don't pick and you just stand there, and then it's like you're gonna basically like not channel this energy that wants to be channeled, that can really benefit you to be channeling that. So it feels like there's going to be, you can feel like your attention is divided, or your inspiration is divided, or your motivation, there's like a lot of stuff to do. It feels like getting this organized is important. So instead of just staying stagnant and not doing anything, you at least just pick one thing and then see what happens after that. So rather than overwhelming yourself with everything simultaneously, you just look at one thing and be like, all right, I'm just going to pick you and like do this thing right now. And that will at least help you get started with things, because there can be a lot going on. I'm seeing Ten of Cups, so it can feel like a relatively happy month for you, Scorpio. But you're definitely going to need to make up your mind. You can feel like you're in a spot where it's like, do I let my mind figure this out, or do I let my intuition figure this out? What to do? I do definitely get your intuition speaking to you, but you can feel at times like your mind blocks it a little bit. There's some stuff that's still being worked through here. Yeah. I get like the Knight of Wands and Page of Cups. You can feel like they have these two aspects of yourself sort of have different visions. Knight of Wands is the part of you that's like, I want to have fun. I want things to be exciting. Like I want to do stuff that I feel motivated by. Page of Cups will be more like, I want to connect, I want to tune in, I want to be doing things that feel like in emotional resonance for me. Knight of Wands can be less of that and more of like, I want spontaneity, or I want fun, or I want excitement, or I want to feel good. Page of Cups can be more so like, I want to feel calm, or feel centered, or feel at peace, or feel connected, feel tuned in. Sometimes Knight of Wands can not be totally tuned in because of just being like looking at all the dazzling things in front of you, or like paying a lot of attention to sort of just that feel good type stuff. And it can feel like there's a little bit of disarray between these two energies. Some stuff that's being worked out. Okay, also too, some things from your past can be resurfacing as well. Part of the reason why you may not want to tune in totally can be part of that. It feels like working through some type of confusion associated with your past, or something that you still haven't worked through, or something that you have mixed feelings about, something that you're still making sense of. If these two energies are not reconciled, they will create a lot of stress, Scorpio, because it will feel like these two parts of you, like you split in two, and that there's a tug of war that's happening. And it can be like, well, which one, which narrative, which perspective am I supposed to go with? But you'll see that if you zoom out wide enough, you'll be able to see the commonalities between these two energies. But there can definitely be some stuff going on emotionally that feels like it complicates things. Because there can even be a part of you that's like, well, I want to do this thing over here because that's just what I'm feeling in this moment. But you know, too, the Knight of Wands can be spontaneous, yes. Listening to instinct, yes. Also, at the same time, may not be playing the tape to the end. And can sometimes be a little bit impulsive to the point where it may not be actually helpful to you. Having Page of Cups come through, it can be your conscience or it can be your intuition saying like, hey, this is going to create stress or this is going to create an obstacle. But the part of you that may not want to hear that because it's like, well, I want to do this thing right now, you know? The Knight of Wands within you is that part of you that's like, I sort of don't want to have responsibilities, you know? Like I want to just do this thing that I want to be doing and not have to worry about this other stuff. But the Page of Cups can be coming through and being like, well, if you neglect that, you're going to be paying for it later. But then the part of you that is the Knight of Wands is like, well, I don't have to worry about that now. Like, future me can deal with that. It can be like that type of thing that's going on. And that tension that occurs because of that can be something that feels difficult, but there's also a lot of enrichment that can be gained from this too, this sort of dance that these two energies within you are doing. Because ultimately, if they're working together, you will find that they really have the same goal, which is to give you like this resounding sense of like peace, joy, fulfillment, like one that's going to feel internally like it's resonating with you, you know? But there can be some stuff that's coming up where you're going to have to change some things around. Seeing Two of Swords and seeing Five of Wands can be like you need to see something, but like your past or your old habits can be conflicting with this. So it can mean that like because of things that you're used to seeing, it can be getting in the way because of getting too comfortable with that and too familiar with that. It can get in the way of you like forging a new way that's actually going to be the way to go here. And needing to sort that through. So yeah, this can be some old habits that are coming up to be checked. Oh, I want to say this too. Something else. Seeing 10 of Cups and seeing 6 of Cups here can be that there were like certain things that you would do that maybe you would feel fulfilled by or happy about, but you may not necessarily feel like that any longer. So before you could be like, when I did that thing, it used to really like do it for me in some type of way, but what's being shown is that there may be some stuff that it's not like that anymore for you, and there can be a part of you that still hasn't realized that yet. So you may be like, I'm trying to do this thing, but then you're going to get there and do the thing and be like, why is this not that feeling of fulfillment or satisfaction? You know, like it reminds me of, like, let's say that you have been eating like a lot of fast food, and so there's like high salt in it, for example, sodium. So then, like you having that, it can feel like a fix, like to a craving when you're sort of on that route. But let's say that you end up fasting for like 2 or 3 days, and then you go to have it. It can feel like, why isn't this satisfying the way that it was before? And it doesn't feel the same, like it doesn't feed into things in the same way. It feels like that type of thing energetically that's happening, where you can be like wanting to like go for this thing and be like, I think that that's going to be the thing, you know, like that usually is the thing that makes me happy or like feels good or whatever. But what needs to be seen is that it's not how it used to be. And your intuition is like, hey, I've been trying to tell you this, but the part of you that may not want to hear it can be feeling like in conflict with that part of you that's been trying to communicate like you're in a different place now. Like, that's not going to cut it anymore. It needs to be something else or something different, and needing to work through that, because it feels kind of like still trying to live in the past, because there are like fond memories. It can feel very nostalgic. Like, I remember when I used to eat that and it would feel so good. Now, again, just an example. It's definitely not going to be like that for everybody. But it can be like, I used to indulge in that thing or engage in that thing, and that would like feel good. And I'm sort of seeking to recreate that nostalgic vibe, but there's something that's not being seen, and it's that it won't recreate that nostalgic vibe for you. And your intuition is already communicating that with you, but there's a part of you that may be having a hard time hearing that and really listening, because you may be having a hard time accepting that. Because like maybe you don't want that to feel like it's being like taken away from you, but it's not. It's just like you're in a different place, and so you're gonna have to create like those new versions of that. It's not like you can't tap into that feeling, you can, but you're gonna have to like take a new route to get there, essentially. So it feels like that's what's going to be happening. If you are like so in denial, I get the feeling that what's going to end up happening, like if you don't reconcile these energies, what's going to happen is there's going to be so much conflict to the point where you're going to feel like in disarray with yourself and be like, why do I feel at odds with myself? But you can feel like this splits you in two. And something else that can happen is that you end up sort of forcing your way through, like, no, this is going to make me happy, it's going to make me happy, it's going to make me happy. You end up doing the thing, and then you are like sorely disappointed at that point. And your intuition is like, if you would have listened to me, you wouldn't have had to go through this. It's like that type of thing that I'm seeing here. But the part of you that may not like to check in with your intuition, Knight of Wands, at times, can be having a hard time like really hearing that, even though, again, like I'm seeing your intuition come through and be like, I've been trying to tell you this. But you can be having a hard time hearing it. Things are coming back into equilibrium. What I'm seeing is that there's like more of a discovery when it comes to balance within your life, of maybe in the past you leaned into certain energies and that did sort of create the types of scenarios that you wanted. Now what's going on, Scorpio, is that you have to balance these energies. So if you're only in the energy of the Knight of Wands, there's a part of you that's going to feel very neglected, and like it's either misheard or not heard at all, and you will feel that within yourself, and you will feel like something happens emotionally, energetically with you because of that. What I'm seeing is that Knight of Wands and Page of Cups, they're basically like, there's a dance, there's a balance that needs to happen with these two energies within you, but it can be difficult to cultivate the relationship between those two energies, but it needs to be done. And for some of you too, you can see this play out with you and another person. It can be you doing something where you're like, I think that this is going to make me happy, and you have another person being like, I have like this idea of what's actually going to be fulfilling, and it ends up being more compatible than you think. But if you ignore that, you can end up doing this thing that actually conflicts with your happiness. And then there's going to be that disparity between those two energies within you. And again, for some of you, between a relationship with you and someone else, that can be something that happens. So if you're doing things impulsively and not thinking about it, it can create a deep like severing or conflict with you and somebody that you're close with. This is somebody that cares about you. If another person is involved in this, I'm seeing them come out as the Page of Cups. Energies can be reversed too. But this is about balance and compromise between these two energies, because if you're only leaning on one energy and neglecting the other one, you will feel like incomplete, and you will also feel a severing, like something will not feel good, something will not feel right. And this feels like it's bringing balance to something from the past that is being adjusted. So this can mean that the way that things were happening before, they were actually out of balance, and balance needs to be brought to it. So it can even be like justice being brought to a situation, like fairness, follow through, compromise, working things out. Being a team player can be part of this as well. But there can be a lot of emotional turmoil and also stress because of this too. But it can feel stressful between these two parts of yourself. And for some of you, again, like it can fall back onto experiencing this displayed within a relationship that you have too. And needing to see that. What I'm seeing is that if these two energies, you can get them to work together, the same thing will make them happy. But if you're leaning into one energy and not into the other, you will not be able to connect with that deeper fulfillment, satisfaction, joy, stability, emotionally, internally. This is going to be a correction of things for you. And it can be a correction of like decision-making behavior, those things, and bringing balance to maybe a situation where like more, I'm just seeing with Knight of Wands, there can be things within your life that you were doing so more so impulsively, and having justice is like, if you don't correct this, there will be repercussions for it. And you end up doing the thing and it doesn't even bring you like the fulfillment you were looking for. So it's going to feel like dually terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like if you maybe like make somebody angry, but you're like, this is the thing that makes me happy, and then it actually does make you happy, it can be like, okay, maybe we like fall out because we're not in alignment. But if you think about doing this, like ignoring that part of yourself, and potentially like ignoring, if this is in the form of another person, ignoring sort of, maybe for some of you, like even the advice that they're giving you, but this would be more so intuitive advice. This can be somebody that understands your emotional and energetic landscape. What ultimately happens is that if you ignore this part of yourself, not only will you feel the repercussions of ignoring that part of yourself, because you'll feel in conflict with yourself, but then you try to reach the 10 of Cups, you get there, and then it doesn't recreate that feeling. So you also don't even get to what you were trying to do in the first place. And then you may have to deal with repercussions of that. And you're going to be like, what did I do this for? And then you'll be like, if I wasn't so impulsive about it, and if I would have thought about it, and if I would have compromised more, then like this wouldn't have happened. And this is like saving you from having to go through that. That's what I'm seeing. Because this relationship really can work with these energies, but you need to do so in a balanced way. And if you're like not thinking about that and not seeing this part of you and not considering this part of you, it's going to end in disarray, at least for this part of the cycle. Things will definitely continue after that. I also too get this feeling of, you may have an impulse to do something, but you're like, should I do it or should I not do it? And now I'm feeling like confused about that. And the reason why you're getting that yellow light is your intuition coming through, being like, I'm telling you no, but there can be a part of you, or I'm telling you to do this, and there can be a part of you that like doesn't want to hear it because it just wants to go through with what it wants to go through. Definitely trying to like achieve some type of nostalgic goal or like experience. It feels like I want to recreate like that feeling or that thing that would make me happy or satisfied. But again, like if you ignore the Page of Cups, first of all, like you're not going to get there. It's not going to happen. And then also there will be like consequences for ignoring that, which just feels like you don't even have to go through that in the first place. You know what I'm saying? But it can feel stressful because it's going to take a change in how you're doing things. And that can feel overwhelming because there's basically this part of you that's like, I'm telling you to do things this way now, or to not do that anymore, or that's not going to resonate with you any longer. and it means sort of like wrapping your head and as a reflection your behavior sort of around this concept that's appearing. And for some of you this can be something relatively new for you, but again, like I'm seeing it be like, it's like because you're in a new place, like this is a sign of like you're making progress, and so something that may actually be like not in resonance with you anymore because you're vibrating higher, you can't do something that's low vibrational anymore and get that type of satisfaction and fulfillment or resonance because it doesn't resonate with you anymore. But there can be a part of you that's like, but I want it to resonate with me still, but you're like vibrating too high for that to be a thing for you now. So this is actually showing like you're like evolving and progressing, and that you're growing and you're expanding, and that you're vibrating higher, but there's this part of you that like still hasn't caught on to that yet. But there are signs of this. There are signs of you being more connected now. There are signs of you being more in tune now, like more connected with your intuition. And this is one of those times where it's communicating with you, where it's coming through and like breaking through and being like, hey, I'm trying to say something to you, but you may not be used to hearing, like picking up the phone like on the other end of the line and like listening to this part of yourself, because it feels like a newer part of yourself that's being like birthed into existence for you right now, or like a part of you that's coming online now that wasn't online before. And so now it has certain things that need to be considered, but there can be a part of you that's like, oh, why can't you go offline so I can just do this thing? But it's telling you that even if you do the thing, it's not going to be like what you want it to be. But this is actually, by you tuning into it and listening to it, it's actually going to help you reach the 10 of Cups, which will be like, this will have you feeling good long term, or feeling happy or at peace like long term, you know? It's not going to feel so fleeting for you. You'll feel like you can really connect with that. I'm seeing temperance. Temperance can be moderation, patience, balance, curbing impulsivity to really think things through, tuning into yourself, transmuting, those things. And also too, temperance is like learning and growing through the experience that you're having as well. Feels like this is also helping you to stabilize something. Stabilize. It's going to allow there to be long-term reciprocity. That's also going to be part of this too, which can mean like there can be stable compatibility, which means that there will be reciprocity between these two parts of yourself that stabilizes and feels very ideal. And this can also be about establishing a foundational reciprocity between you and another person, where it stays, you staying in a place of compatibility with this person, and again also in a place of compatibility with yourself too, of alignment. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I want to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm seeing Sag on the bottom of the deck, and I'm also looking at Libra here. You can see this being relevant for you wherever you have Libra in your chart. Libra can also symbolize like relationships, partnerships, and as much as it can be a partnership with you and another person, this is very much going to be reflective of a partnership with you and yourself, these two parts of yourself. And also too, if you want more information about this, look up the archetype of the Knight of Wands, and then look up the archetype of the Page of Cups, and it's about the relationship between these two energies within you and needing to find a way to get these two to like work together, because there's an integration that's happening of this energy, but at first I'm seeing them be in conflict with one another. Again, the Knight of Wands, which is going to be your energy, and the Page of Cups, which is also your energy, but they can feel in conflict with one another, and needing to get them to like vibe together to be like congruent with one another. Okay, we're going to leave the reading here. I want to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.